The
we'll
first
get
frame,
this match underway
Stuart
for
Bingham
us.
to break.
Always nice in these short formats to win the first frame, especially in a best of 5. If you can just start well, it puts your opponents under immediate pressure. But I was having a chat with some of these players in the Players' Lounge, and they've all been saying how very tricky it is to break off and get that cue ball absolutely safe behind a bulk colour and not leave a long red on for your opponent, as Stuart has here for Mark Selby potentially.
And that was also a topic of conversation when we were here just before Christmas for groups 1 and 2. Yeah, breaking off a little more testing than the norm.
Players are also telling me, Phil, that the cloth is absolutely like lightning. It certainly seems to be from our commentary position. It's running very, very quickly, table 1, as is table 2, of course, which you can see on matchroom.live. But because the cushion cloth is so new as well, the ball is tending to skid and slide at a narrow angle from the cushion rails. And I think the players are finding that the cushions at the moment are just a tiny bit on the slow side, but they'll soon speed up, I'm sure, once the tables are brushed and ironed and frames and matches are played on them. Tables and conditions do tend to speed up.
Well, I think Paul Lineker, the table fitter, traditionally over the years for the Championship League, has done another fine job. I mentioned this afternoon, in the first 2 groups, we had 30 centuries in total. And that's a really good indicator of conditions, although there, Stuart Bingham might be saying, well, the table did me no favours, but that was pilot error. That was pilot error.
Yeah, just
Yes, we've all had our chance to have a spot of lunch and
I think
enjoy each other's company in the Players' Lounge, socially distanced, of course. It's a very big Players' Lounge, there's plenty of room.
You see it from there now anyway, won't you?
But it's never easy restarting a session again after having played a couple of matches, just to try and re-establish that rhythm and focus and concentration. But this is awkward for the referee, Paul Collier, because several balls were moved here in the course of that mistake from Stuart. What can you do a second time around? Oh, that's much better. Maybe an off, but well, he's caught the blue. It's a very good shot from Stuart. It had to be thin to avoid cannoning into other balls. And well, you can see where the cue ball's finished. That couldn't have finished any better from Stuart's point of view.
Yes, you're right, Dom, it had to be thin, but I'm surprised he missed the first attempt completely, because it wasn't razor thin, was it?
No, and as soon as the black had gone safe, it was in both players' interests to spot them up again, because neither player likes to see the high value colours find their way towards cushion rails.
Foul.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Mark Selby has just done exactly the same thing there, so could it be that the cue ball is just deviating just a merest fraction? It's not to criticise the conditions at all, but you can imagine, can't you, that the cue ball travelling over 7 or 8 feet of table at that sort of pace can easily deviate just a merest fraction, and that would be enough to cause the mistake. That cannon hasn't worked out for Stuart. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him take on the green here.
Green ball. Green, yeah.
How well timed was that?
4.
Yeah, certain shots you play, like this green for instance, you just know that the key to knocking those in cleanly is a good, crisp, clean ball strike, and you tend to put the greater emphasis on that.
5.
I think that blue could be causing Stuart a little bit of a problem. I'm sure he'd love to play green or brown and go into the pack of reds here and develop a few more and try and bring pink and black into play. But that blue could just be in Stuart's way. He'd have to miss it by fractions. This isn't looking good from Stuart's point of view. Maybe he'll be on the red to left centre, but that's certainly not what Stuart intended.
9.
Was too close to the side cushion with the cue ball really to do anything about the path of the cue ball there. All kinds of safety shots that Stuart could play here, could drop in behind the yellow, but I'm not sure whether that would be particularly profitable. Oh, he's taking it on. Wow, what a pot. I'm amazed he took such a risky pot on there. Incredible really, even when Stuart first turned professional, he and many others wouldn't take a pot on like that. But it's the norm these
30.
days. Pink's obviously available into the left centre, so all of a sudden, if Stuart can just screw into the pack of reds here and develop a few, from nowhere, it could be a frame-winning chance, this.
Yes, when snooker boomed in the 80s, potting ball colours to middle pockets was nowhere near as prevalent as it is now. It's been a total sea change in that regard.
19. 20.
But Dom, it looks as though Bingham's boldness in this instance is going to pay a rich dividends.
Yes, absolutely. As a commentator, I'm well aware that some of these players probably haven't put the time in over the Christmas break. That's quite normal. And so I was assuming that in many cases that the players wouldn't have the confidence in themselves to take on such risky pots. We have seen a number of easy balls missed already today. Blacks off the spots and all kinds of mistakes safety-wise have been made. But I think
26.
the longer this group progresses and matches have been played, players' form would increase also, and the rustiness will have disappeared, certainly by tomorrow.
$27.
I think those 6 reds above the pink there are sort of in one another's way. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Stuart go into them again here. Just depends if something's available somewhere. Well, obviously that red to the left corner is on. Doesn't look as though it is. But he couldn't leave himself straight enough on it just to
33.
automatically run through for the pink, so positionally a lot of work to do here, and there's certainly no guarantee that this will end well for Stuart.
34.
That is one regularly occurring feature of this particular table. You can catch
40.
an awful lot of that far jaw of the top right hand pocket if you play at quiet pace. But there was no way that one was going to go in. Cued right across it,
Stuart
Dom.
Bingham 40.
He did. Now, I've always said this on many occasions when I'm commentating on Stuart. Every now and again he can miss a rudimentary ball just inexplicably. And I don't know whether it's a technical issue. It's something he's always done. We were right behind that, and you could actually see him cue right across the line of the shot there. What can Mark Selby do here? He may intentionally cannon the two reds here to hold for the pink. Well, he just avoided them with check side.
1.
So Mark Selby came to the table, 40 points in arrears. How much of that deficit can he erase here?
Seven. 8.
Good start to the session to report for Joe Perry over on table 2. He's taken the first frame from Zhao Guodong. And did so encouragingly with breaks of 54 and 71.
14. 15. 18. 19.
Just the one easy loose red for Mark Selby to play for here. Remaining 3 afterwards could pose problems.
There's that generous far jaw again on the top right hand pocket. There's no doubt about it. They're going in off that jaw a little easier than most others.
Let himself the perfect angle on this pink just to stun across with a red in that right hand side cushion. I'll be interested to see, well, I would have been. He just overran that by a few inches. I think Mark Selby ideally would like to
32.
play for the pink in the left centre. He could easily take the cue ball then into the 2 awkward reds, but I don't know if he can hold the cue ball and leave the correct angle on it now from where he is.
Well,
He's played that well. He's got a perfect angle on the pink to cannon into the 2 reds, but coming in towards them from the top cushion, he may not be able to knock one into a possible position coming into them from here. He could screw into them directly from the pink. That's what he chose to do. That was his best chance to be on one of the reds, and I think he'd be happy with that, even though one of the reds has remained awkward.
39.
He's played a couple of matches on this table already, and so he fully understands that it's easy to get a hold of the cue ball, and that might have influenced his decision.
40.
Oh, I think he's left the worst possible angle here. I think he's almost dead straight on this pink, is he? Oh, he may be able to cannon the red from there. Oh, he's chosen to drop in behind it. Probably wise. There'd have been very little likelihood of being on the red trying to
46.
cannon it. But he's always certain to leave a difficult pot playing it that way. And he can't just drop the red in. He's going to have to play it with a little bit of pace to get position on probably the pink or the black.
Had just enough room there to get the rest head on the table comfortably.
47.
But he actually timed that shot a little too well for his own good. The cue ball zipped back again, underlining how easy it is to screw back on this table. And it's done him no favours.
Well, Phil, I just can't believe that he's ended up there. I know Mark uses fairly small tip size. It's about 9.25, 9.3 millimetres, so he's likely to get more reaction out of the ball than most, but he's 7 points ahead, so if he doesn't want to have to deal with the difficult blue, he needs the brown here.
Stayed down on that one, so he wasn't convinced that the brown was in. In the end, though, it went in with no alarm whatsoever.
51. $53.
Well, he's made this break very well, Mark Selby. I'm sure Stuart Bingham expected to get back to the table at some point with the Reds' position where they were. But now, Mark Selby just requires a brown to take the opening frame.
$60. $65.
Good stuff, this.
Mark Selby 65 on the frame.
Stuart Bingham remains seated. Now, that wasn't the highest break that Mark Selby has made today, but I would argue it was the best and perhaps the most important. He's drawn first blood against his fellow world champion.
I was born for this, I was born for, I was born for this. I was born for this, I was born for, I was born for this. Born for this. Born for this. Feel that fever, lightning strikes, dangerous like dynamite. Born for this.
For one half of the first frame of the evening session, it looked as though Stuart Bingham was going to take it. But
It's a break.
the end game of Mark Selby is renowned. And with a 65 clearance to blue, he stole it.
Stuart immediately coming down this end of the table just to see if that black will pot into the right corner. If it does, he may consider rolling this red into the left corner, the straightish one that's available to him. I think it would probably be the only easy ball he could leave. Oh goodness. Well, this is unlucky. That red's going to keep rolling and it's going to be on for Mark Selby, although he does have another one into the opposite corner. If you can avoid cannoning other reds here, Mark Selby, position to a colour should be pretty much guaranteed. Well, tried to hold for the black, and I think Mark felt that the cue ball just drifted a centimetre or so there, and he potted the red much thinner than intended, but he's been fortunate. He played for the black into the corner pocket, but he's on the pink into the centre instead.
I think actually the overhead view illustrated that the cue ball did go. But he couldn't complain too vehemently because it worked out a treat.
Oh, it really did, Phil, because Mark was able to play for the red that's just above the black, and once he clears that one out the way, the one next to it will be available into the right corner. Maybe he doesn't have the perfect angle on the red above the black. I think he's considering the one that's just near the cue ball. I'm pretty sure that that black does pot into the right corner.
Seven. Eight.
These two, in one sense, are in a very similar boat. Obviously, their full attention is now on this event. Then next week it's the Masters, which is the game's premier invitation tournament. But then, of course, the world rankings kick back in at both the shootout and indeed the German Masters. And those two tournaments are vital
15
for Selby and Bingham, because both badly want to be involved in the Players' Championship in Wolverhampton in early February. Trouble is, that's
16.
exclusive. It's only the top 16 points earners on the one season list. And right now, very unexpectedly, Mark Selby is 17th. Stuart Bingham, 19th. So they need to do well in the shootout and also over in Berlin in the German Masters
23.
to force their way into that Players' Championship.
24.
Top of the one season points list, as he's top of the table here at the moment, Zhao Xintong. The 200,000 points he earned at the UK Championship greatly helped in that regard, Dom.
Oh yes, absolutely. And the young gentleman that he defeated in the final, Luca Brissell, is currently second on the one-year list. Oh, he's controlled that well, Mark Selby.
31.
A few inches further and he wouldn't have been on this red.
$32.
Yes, going back to what you were saying, Phil, it's always advantageous to have a great run in one of the very biggest events such as the UK Championships in the world. They carry so many more ranking points. Sometimes it can be a lucky day, the draw can open up
39.
We can play a top player who might struggle a little bit. All sorts of things do happen from time to time.
40.
And Nigel Bond having a fabulous run in the UK Championships just a few years ago. He was well into his 50s.
Well, soon here, Mark Selby's going to be well into the 50s in terms of this
47.
break. And plenty more besides.
$48.
Talking about decent breaks, Zhao Guodong's just made one over on the other table. A break of 67 to draw level with Joe Perry at 1-1.
$55. 56.
'Difficult to see Mark Selby breaking down
63.
here before Stuart Bingham requires snookers. All the reds in decent positions, even the awkward ones near left and right side cushions are not particularly difficult.
64.
So just this black and one more red to further extend his lead to 2-0.
$71. 72.
Could do something here that's even more rare than a 147. A 146.
79.
That's out of the question now because he's going up for the pink.
80.
But I'll tell you what, anything in the 140s, Dom, and he'd be a powerful front-runner for the £500 group highest break prize.
Yes, definitely. Even on rare
86.
occasions, a break in the low 130s wins a £500 highest break prize in one of the groups.
87.
But with the talent on offer in this third group, the Championship League, especially with the likes of Xiao Xin Tong, such a dangerous potter and break builder, and Ryan Day, of course, another great scorer. Stuart Bingham, Mark Selby, you're going to have to expect something in the high 130s minimum
92.
to win the high break prize.
$93.
Could do with potting this into the centre pocket for position. Needs to run. Not quite.
93 on the frame, Mark Selby.
No tree for Mark Selby, no high break of course, but a very agreeable start for him. It's a big improvement on what went before. In the first session, just didn't seem himself. In the two frames here, well, he's looked mighty good. Mark Selby leads Stuart Bingham 2-0.
I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. Born for this. Born for this.
Mark Selby with breaks of 65 and 93. Leads Stuart Bingham by
The
2
third
frames to
frame.
0.
Stuart Bingham to break.
So often, though, in these best of 5 frame matches, we see things turn around completely.
Wow, that's a very handy break from Stuart Bingham. The long red that's often left on isn't, because it's finished so close to that side cushion. And because it's finished so close to the side cushion, Mark Selby can't play a safety shot off the pack for fear of cannoning into it. So having to just play a containing safety. And he's played it well.
One excuse these two can never use is along the lines of, well, I didn't know much about his game. They know each other's games inside out. When you consider, Dom, this is their 13th meeting in the Championship League over the years. 13 meetings in one tournament alone. For the record, Selby leads 6-5 in wins with 1 draw.
Yeah, it's very evenly matched here. Both these players hold each other in high regard, no doubt about that. Both world champions, of course, and Mark Selby, our current world champion and world number 1. He's caught that one wrong. Left Stuart Bingham right in here. That black will pot into the right corner once the red has been removed. Number of reds in open play. This is a good chance for somebody of Stuart's capabilities.
One.
And Bingham's got a very decent record against Selby in matches outside of the Championship League. Selby leads by 12 wins to 10. Bingham actually won their first 2 meetings by whitewash, 5-0. Mind you, that was 23 years ago. Mark Selby's a very different proposition these days.
6.
Yes, Mark Selby many years ago, former English 8-ball pool champion, had a very unusual cue action. I suppose you could say he still does. I mean, his cue action's very good, but he does sway a little from side to side bodily, but he used to cue up to the cue ball. The tip would be about 2 inches from the cue ball, very like Cliff Thorburn used to be back in the day, and he had to make a great number of changes in his style and technique to become the player that he has done today.
7.
Well, this is no good from Stuart's point of view. Tight on that side cushion. If he wishes to continue the break, he'll have to take on the very tricky brown. And I don't know if he'll want to take the risk, being 2-0 behind. Well, I forgot about the red near this right corner. That will cut in very nicely from where Stuart is.
10.
It's a very thin cut, but it's most certainly on. Well played.
11.
That's not a bad kiss. He's got a good angle here on the brown. Can play many shots. He could play into the pack of reds, or he could play for the 3 loose ones, which would be ideal from Stuart's point of view. They're just above the black there. As a key will run
15.
through far enough here. Does anything go? Can't see a possible red, I'll have to say. I don't think any of the 3 reds above the black will go. Maybe the middle one may just go if that cue ball's travel far enough.
Sixteen.
On a tighter table, this might be a real examination, but I can't imagine Bingham's going to miss this. Oh, and there you go. He
Stuart
played it
Bingham,
with
16.
slightly more pace than I thought he might. But balls have been going along that cushion all day. Don't know whether you heard, folks. My co-commentator Dominic Dale laughed at my misfortune.
Well, you set it up so well, Phil, I have to say. Commentators curse, eh? But Stuart, I'm sure, would agree that was never close enough to the pocket to go in. It was always travelling away from the cushion. Interesting shot that Mark Selby's played there. He's chosen to screw the cue ball back towards the side cushion, so in cutting this black in, he can take the cue ball into that group of reds and develop them.
Eight.
That could have certainly finished a lot better from Mark Selby's point of view. The red to left centre's on, but I don't know if he's got the angle to get the high side of the blue from it. Oh, he did have.
9. $14.
Evidence again of the speed of the bedcloth. Mark Selby overran that by a good 12 inches. Sort of centimetres these days, isn't it? 30 centimetres.
15.
On table 2, Zhao Guodong now 2-1 up on Joe Perry. Zhao winning the third frame with a break of 93.
Mark Selby couldn't have done much more
20.
with that. He was so close to the side cushion, could only pot the blue with topspin and hope that the cannon works out for him. He's still on this red to the left centre, but it's rather missable. Well, I have to say I expected him to get it.
Selby 20.
We knew before the red had arrived at the pocket, though, that he'd overcut it. The shoulders slumped. He understood the misjudgment he'd made.
Similar thing here for Stuart. He can't do anything about the fact that he's going to cannon into the two reds above the black here. We'll have to rather hope to be on a red rather than expect to be. Played it well.
To many, that kind of black
8.
might seem a daunting shot, and under pressure, I'm sure it is, but these guys make it look so simple.
9.
Just looking at the position of the scoreboard, it would tell me that in all likelihood Stuart will need one of the
16.
two difficult reds, the one that's near bulk on the left hand side cushion and the one that's just adjacent to the cue ball there on the right hand side cushion. He'll need one of them probably to win the frame at this visit.
Seventeen.
Well, if Stuart looks at the score here, he's got a chance to
22.
play for the pink in the right corner and bring the awkward red to the right of it into play and guarantee being on one of the two reds together there. I don't think he looked at the score to actually
23.
know that fact. So he's going to have to do a little bit more work here, and of course when he does pot these reds and colours, it just makes the winning clearance much easier for Mark Selby should he get the opportunity.
Consternation on his face. Messed that up.
Well, Stuart with his 26 points lead, he won't want to play a safety shot off the red that's safe on that left hand side cushion near bulk. But that would be the easier red to play a safety shot from. Thought out.
Stuart Bingham 30.
Stuart will be happy to see that red remain in bulk the way it has done. Could have left Mark Selby right in there. definite opportunity here for Mark Selby to bring some of these awkward reds into play. Just needs to be careful of a double kiss.
Undoubtedly the position of the remaining reds very much in Bingham's favour with that 26-point lead, but we've seen so many frames over the years where Selby so shrewdly has manipulated this kind of table into his own favour. On this occasion though, caught that safety shot wholly incorrectly.
All's not lost for Mark Selby, because Stuart will need a couple of the awkward reds. Oh, that's a good kiss. He's on the yellow.
One.
Now, I don't know if he's straight enough on the yellow to be able to screw directly into the three reds. I think he's too thin on it.
Three. Stuart Bingham 3.
And just nudging the pink to the left-hand side cushion, very much favourable for Bingham.
I thought Mark Selby may have played a different safety to the one that he chose in the end. He has left this cuttable for Stuart, who can avoid the cannon on the black here with the cue ball. Much too thick.
Fluent stuff to report on the other table for you. Joe Perry with a break of 75 has just forced a decider against Zhao Guodong. It's 2-2.
One.
Oh, that's a super pot from Mark Selby. Ordinarily I'll be saying he's got a good angle on the black here to take the cue ball in and out of bulk and cannon into the two reds, but unfortunately that yellow is right in his way.
It was like a boulder.
8.
Dom knew it. I think Selby knew it, of course he did. But he still just chanced his arm anyway.
Mark Selby 8.
Stuart could potentially chip this red in to the right corner. Decent effort, but although Mark Selby is 21 points behind in this frame, if he can just try and give himself the opportunity to bring awkward reds into play, it's still anybody's frame, this. That's a great shot. He snookered the awkward red on the right side cushion, and Stuart can only hit the left hand edge of this red. Needs to be very careful. Just containing safety. So now Mark Selby has a chance to maybe bring into play one of the awkward reds. Can he get a snooker? There's a chance of one here. Plays a thin edge off the top red of the two. He'll be able to get a snooker in behind either yellow or green.
One.
Well, just on its own, what a terrific pot that was. Penultimate red dispatched, but still work to be done.
Stuart could take the green on into the left centre, and as long as he could avoid cannoning into the yellow, he could promote the awkward red towards this right corner, but I think he's shutting up shop and tying up some of the colours to make potential winning clearance from Mark Selby more difficult, but Stuart will not be happy that he hasn't put the brown safe there, because of course this being the only red is going to be brought into play very shortly, and pink is the only safe ball.
What a sterling effort that was. I think the cue ball is run on maybe half an inch too much. Again though, superb imagination from Selby and almost superb execution.
Well, if Stuart can only see the very thin edge of this red, he'll need to be a little bit careful. Actually played a little bit of right hand side just to give himself the opportunity to hit a little more of the red than he could probably see of it. Now, what will Mark Selby play here? He'd love to just drop the red onto the top cushion and leave that cue ball nestled against the pink. But dare he risk the table potentially running off course here, or the cue ball rather. I certainly expect to see Stuart Bingham play a better safety shot here. Can send the red around the angles. Get the cue ball near the bolt cushion. It's tricky for Stuart to decide what to play here. There are all kinds of shots that he could.
Yeah, sometimes it's the agony of choice.
do, Phil.
Yes, where the red came to rest. Had the cue ball gone in off, it wouldn't have been catastrophic.
Foul. Stuart Bingham 4.
Well, another 4 points to the Bingham total. Low scoring frame, but the man from Essex edging ever closer to the winning line.
He could play a delicate, soft stunning behind the green, Stuart, here, but there's a risk that the red could bring the pink into play, so I don't think of you playing that. Did play it. Oh, and goodness me, if that red didn't can the brown, it would have brought the pink into play, I think.
Thanks.
Paul Collier, the referee there, getting down to see whether Selby can see the red directly.
Cannoning the blue has left it potable for Stuart, but there's a modicum of pressure on this from Stuart's point of view. If he pots the red, any colour will do. Yeah, he was feeling it. Didn't strike that one anywhere as crisply as the other red that he knocked in just a few moments ago.
The solitary positive there, the blue joining the pink close to that left hand side cushion, but at least from here, if he can't win it in a single visit, Selby can get right back into the frame.
One.
Well, the blue's now in open play.
Yes, he's on the yellow, but I don't think the angle's any good to Mark Selby. I wouldn't be surprised if he played a safety off the pink here to bring that into play. And try and maybe even get the cue ball in behind the black. Well, he's just taken the 2 points, and I have to say I'm a little surprised.
Three.
Unless, of course, he decides to try a double on the yellow into the right centre. Maybe that was his plan.
Or a plan that's a little more dastardly.
Mark Selby 3.
I can promise you, Phil, that Stuart Bingham will be delighted that that pink is still welded to that left-hand side cushion. Takes a lot of pressure off him.
Yes, being 23 points behind, Selby, without recourse to penalty points, needs all 6 colours. Well, Tommy nearly did Selby's job for him.
Absolutely, and if that yellow had have cannoned into the pink, the chances are he'd have left the yellow to the left centre. But Mark Selby can do it here. You can bring the pink into play, get the cue ball in behind the green off 2 cushions. Oh, good effort. Shot here for Stuart to play. Can chip the yellow in behind the black and get the cue ball in again behind the green. Too thin. Does the yellow pass the green? I think it may.
I think from Selby's reaction it most definitely does.
Two.
So this is a frame ball. They don't come much simpler.
5. Nine. Stuart Bingham 9 on the frame.
When you're 2-0 down against Mark Selby in a best of 5 frames, it is a lengthy journey back, but at least for Stuart Bingham, that journey has begun. Selby's lead trimmed to 2-1.
I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. Born for this. Born for this. Feel that fever, lightning strikes, dangerous like dynamite. Born for this.
Welcome back to the Morningside Arena here in Leicester and the evening session on day 1 of Group 3 in the Bedvictor Championship League. The latest news comes from Table 2, where although he's still at the table, I can tell you Zhao Guodong is definitely going to beat Joe Perry by 3 frames to 2. A liberal sprinkling of breaks in that match, and Zhao could be finishing off with the highest break of the group so far. I will keep you informed. What we know is that with this victory, he's won 2 out of 2, together with his compatriots Zhao Zintong and Lu Ning. In fact, Zhao Guodong and Zhao Zintong meet each other on table 2 next. As for table one, well, with breaks of 65 and 93, Mark Selby led 2-0 against Stuart Bingham. The third frame was nowhere near as fluent. In fact, it was staccato snooker, but Bingham won it on the green. And that's why the match is still in the balance.
Foul and a miss. Stuart Bingham 4.
So Bingham off and running. I can tell you, by the way, that the break that Zhao Guodong put together to defeat Joe Perry, he had a run of 111 in the decider, so not quite the highest break of the group, but it's a very agreeable start result-wise for Zhao.
Yeah, he's made a few decent-sized breaks in winning that match. Seems to be keeping well. Another Chinese player with a great temperament, I have to say.
Six.
Stuart would have loved just another 5 or 6 inches of running on the cue ball. He could play then red that's just to the right of the black. Got a choice of reds here, Stuart, but I don't think he's ideally placed on any of them.
Seven.
When you're in a position like this, it's all about choosing the correct ball to play for. And it is that red that's just to the right of the black from Stuart's point of view. If he's on it, he's perfect.
12. $13. $20.
Bingham's break building prowess not to be underestimated. I was saying this afternoon, he's 11th on the all-time list of century break makers. 513 he's put together. And in fact,
21.
he's only 2 centuries behind Mark Allen, who is in 10th place on the all-time list. As for Mark Selby, he's safely ensconced in 6th. Over 700 centuries for him.
$27. $28.
This is a very important match for both of these men. Struggles a little in the group so far.
35.
Could be a very
36.
interesting deciding frame. Should Stuart force that deciding frame? He's looking favourite to do so from here. In his perfect position. As are all the reds. Did he tried to cannon a red there to hold for another, Stuart.
43.
Just a little out of position here.
Ta. 44.
Well, he'll probably take that. If you're the wrong side of the blue, it's better to be a good few inches the wrong side of it, so you can take the cue ball in and out of bulk much easier. This is looking good.
49. $50.
The second match of the session on table 2 has just got underway. Zhao Guodong breaking off against Zhao Xintong. Both 2 wins from 2 matches, those two. And as they say in boxing, the O has got to go. One of them will lose their 100% record. Well, this time he played on that red and succeeded.
57. 58.
'Looks like being chalk and cheese from the previous frame. Although he slightly overscrewed that.
65.
Yes, just needs one more red to secure the frame and take us into a decider. So in that predicament, you would normally take the easiest red that's possible to you, so that the frame is guaranteed to be safe, even if you don't get ideal position on your colour.
Ta. 66.
Now that was quite a sharp angle, and he held the cue ball with below centre striking so easily for the black.
Yes, we've been saying all along, haven't we, Phil, that the cloth here on table 1 is
73.
very receptive to spin.
74. 81. 82.
Bingham zoning in on what would be his second century of the day. Made around 100
89.
in a losing cause against Zhao Xintong.
$90.
High break so far in the group. 113 from Ryan Day, which is now under serious threat.
$97.
1
98.
Yet another century to the Bingham collection. Although, as David Hendon was saying
105.
earlier on today, not made a great amount this season by his normal standards.
106. $112. 114.
Tell you what, Dom, if he can make 139 for that £500 group high break prize, that is a realistic target.
Yes, it most certainly
170.
is, Phil. Oh, has he just overrun position for the brown here? Can he just drop it in and still be the right side of the blue?
$121.
Highest break in Group 2, 142
126.
from Ryan Day. Highest break in Group 1, 136.
132. 139.
Excellent. So Bingham might have lined his pockets there. We don't know yet. We won't know until tomorrow night. What we do know is that from 2-0 down, Stuart Bingham is back on level terms with Mark Selby in a crunch match for both, and it means coming up after the break, we've got a decider.
I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. I was born for this. I was born for. I was born for this. Born for this. Born for this. Feel that fever, lightning strikes, dangerous like dynamite. Born for this.
Stuart Bingham, world champion, now 7 years removed.
The deciding frame.
Oh, time flies.
Stuart Bingham to break.
He looked good in winning the fourth frame. The third was scrappy. The fourth was the polar opposite. And now it's all down to this. Whoever wins, their hopes of making the playoffs will be renewed. Whoever loses, they'll be in a very deep hole.
Well, Mark Selby has the chance of a long red to the left corner. The cue would come around the back of the black, back towards bulk, but he'd have to play it with a fair bit of pace to get the cue ball back into bulk, and being so tight to the cushion makes the pot very difficult.
The last red rolling, just drifted and drifted on by the middle pocket, much to Selby's relief.
Controlled the cue ball very well there, Stuart Bingham. Wasn't too far away from the red. His main aim there was to return the cue ball to the bulk cushion, and he's certainly done that. Unfortunate kiss there from Mark Selby. Almost left an easy red for Stuart Bingham, but again, he just ran on, and it won't cut in. Just wonder if there's a red to the left of the pack of reds there that pots into the green pocket. I don't think it passes the pink though.
No, don't think it does. By the way, what do you think Bingham's chances of winning the Group High Break Prize with that 139? Well, in the last World Ranking event of 2021, the World Grand Prix, Stephen Maguire made the high break, 139, in the only frame he won against Bingham in the quarterfinals. So it could most definitely hold.
Stuart may be interested in this straightest red to the right corner. If he stuns a cue ball where the red is, I think the pink pots into the left corner, and this would be the only red that Stuart could leave. Stuart's found a plant there from somewhere.
What?
Played it with check side to give himself the chance to be on a bulk colour, and he is on the brown.
With the cue ball being so close to the brown, I think this cut is a little thinner than it might appear. It is deceptive. But held the cue ball nicely anyway. Well, Dom, he's got the momentum.
Yes, absolutely, Phil, and a great chance here to stun this red in, get the right side of the blue into the right hand centre pocket, and well, that pack of reds is a huge target. They should split very well for Stuart because they're already slightly detached from one another.
6.
That's perfect.
And the ancillary benefit on this occasion isn't just splitting the reds, it's also putting the black back into the reckoning.
the reds on into the left corner. This is absolutely perfect for
11.
Stuart Bingham. Did exactly what you said, Phil. Brought the black into play perfectly here.
12.
Let me quickly tell you, Zhao Guodong continues to motor over on table 2. He's just taken the first frame from Zhao Zintong, 122 points to 0.
Stuart ended up there. Is he on a red to the right corner?
19.
If he isn't, there's precious little else. Amazing. Didn't look as though it would
20.
go. But he is short of pace on the blue, so positionally he may have to take on the more difficult pink here.
And already in this match, in the first frame, he missed a shot of a similar ilk. A little straighter than this, but to the same pocket and from the same range. Oh, he does it again.
Sure. Stuart Bingham 20.
Yes, just didn't control the thrust of the cue going through there. Just seemed a little loose. I mean, Stuart does have this habit of striking down from a great height. His cue's always elevated in the air, or the butt of it is anyway, so he always does strike down on the cue ball, which a lot of other professionals try to avoid doing.
One.
The avoidance there for Selby was to try and screw back and avoid the black, and he didn't do it, Dom.
No, he had to pot that red absolutely cleanly and bring the cue ball back in an exact straight line. But now it's caught the black. Well, not only has he tied the black up, doesn't have a secondary colour to consider.
Green ball. Mark Selby 1.
This is what Mark Selby does to opponents so often, just leaves them hardly any safety option. Stuart had to play that thickly, so as he could avoid the red that's near that left hand side cushion. I'll tell you what, he's played a great shot here. He's actually turned the tables on Mark Selby and put him in trouble. Well, Phil, that cue ball must have drifted off course for Mark to have played such a poor shot there. Couldn't have been human error.
Yes, we've seen it 3 or 4 times now in this match. From baulk down towards the top end of the table. It does seem as though the cue ball is drifting to the left.
1.
What an opportunity it's given Bingham. What an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. But the second that Stuart pots this pink, the 2 reds to the right of the pink spot will be blocking the pink to the left corner. And there's a red that's blocking the path to the right corner for the pink. So, although there won't be any balls within about 6 or 7 inches of the pink, it still will be quite difficult to get onto. And the black, of course, is tight on that top cushion, so maybe Stuart will have to concentrate a little here on the blue for now.
7. 8.
'What a comeback this would be for Bingham, especially in light of the fact he's involved in our next match here on Table 1 against Ryan Day. A victory here would really lift his spirits for that one.
13. 14.
'Potting that red to the corner pocket, Stuart now develop the pink spot area, easily accessible for the left centre and right corner, so break building from here on in for Stuart has now been made much easier.
90. 20.
Well, Phil, it should have been easier. Once this pink's respotted, I don't think he's on anything.
26.
'Well, the only bright side there for Bingham is that with a 45-point lead, he's put another red dead safe. But really, he should have captured frame and match at that visit.
Stuart Bingham, 26.
Wow, I'm not entirely sure that's particularly safe. Certainly one red that pops into the left corner.
One.
Selby there, good pot, but he needed to avoid a secondary collision with another red. All of his powers of recovery will be fully tested here, Dom.
Yes, they will be. What Mark Selby, in trying to play this safety shot, will be doing is trying to force Stuart Bingham to bring some of the difficult reds into play by hiding the ones that are available in open plays. You can see the two to the left of the pink. If you can hide those, you may have to force Stuart to bring one of the reds off the side cushion.
Mark Selby 1.
Oh, he's played a good shot there, but, well, maybe there's a possible red on for Stuart.
The frames are flying by on table 2, unlike this afternoon. Zhao Zhentong has just equalised against Xiao Gudong 1-1.
Foul. And a miss.
Okay,
Mark
Paul.
Selby 6.
Paul Collier, that is, the referee. Get these back. Blue, pink, a red. Cue ball, obviously. Anything else, Dom? Anything else move?
Wow. I noticed a visible frown.
I know exactly
the
where the
face
white and
of
pink are. It's only that red we got to
Paul
decide.
Collier, because I think very shortly he's going to have the very difficult task of replacing these.
No, I said I know exactly where the white and the pink were. It's only that red we've got to decide. So.
Pink and blues on the spot, I think.
Yeah.
So he's telling the players he knows exactly where the blue and the pink were. They were on the spots.
Yeah.
He knows where the white
Put it back,
was.
yeah.
It's just that
Okay.
one red that was chipped away.
Is that red about here or something, was it? Went that far, actually. I think it was about.
Yeah, the red was about there because it was in blocking that pot red, wasn't it? Oh no, you kissed it, didn't you?
Yeah, this doesn't seem too far away.
You kissed it, didn't you?
Yeah, I kissed it, but yeah, that was blocking that. I think it was about here. I thought that
I
when
have
looked
a
at the line,
feeling
I
that
thought
the
it
red
was
that's
there.
near
More or
this
less like
right hand corner pocket was a little closer to the cushion.
But let's put the white back and then we'll have a look at the red.
Yeah.
Ball side there.
Maybe not.
White's pretty close here. So what do you think? Just up a bit?
In this tournament, the referee is working solo in these kind of instances, obviously
Look at that.
reliant on the sportsmanship
If
of
anything, it's a
Bingham
touch nearer
and
the
Selby,
cushion.
which is very reliable.
I couldn't see that to pot that. I could
Some of the tournaments
Yeah,
on
oh
the
yeah.
circuit, you will see
Can't be much nearer.
a
can it?
referee aided by a marker who's got a TV screen and can point out where the balls were before the shot was played.
I think that's pretty close.
I think Paul's done a good job there, don't you, Dom?
Yes, I really do. I thought initially that
fraction
the red
that
that's
way.
nearest this right corner may have been a touch more difficult, but now I've seen the cue ball replaced, I think it does look exactly the same, and maybe that red that I'm referring to
Okay,
wasn't
Mark.
moved at all in the course of that last shot.
Okay, so
Seemed like a laborious process, but I can tell you what, other referees would have taken more time than that.
I think Stuart needs to take this
What-
red on into the right
what I
corner.
marked it on, it was dead level with that.
Right, okay.
So that's how I got the depth of it. It's just how far off there it is. But I mean, that looks right to me. So
Fraction easier, that's all. And it's-
and go a fraction that way if you want, because that's the shot you're playing. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's trying to think how it was. That's really, this must be, because I could, so we definitely pop that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think Stuart needs to tempt this red into the right corner. Just stun the cue ball across behind the black spot to the top cushion here. The only red he could leave is the red he'd take on.
All right, Mark.
He's still intent on playing the shot that he had a go at previously.
Well, a red he might have left adjacent to a top pocket has found its way to the side cushion. So that's a source of relief. But clearly, Selby with his hand on the table will fancy potting this one.
One.
Good clean pot from Mark Selby. Looks to have a reasonable angle here on the brown as well to stun the cue ball down for a choice of the two reds near this right corner. He's played to get into them. I can only assume that the outermost red of the two didn't pop past the other one. But he's brought the black into play there. That could be a bonus. If he's feeling adventurous, could even play a double here on one of the reds.
Selby doesn't very often feel adventurous. Tell you what he does do though on a regular basis, Dom. He wins this kind of frame when everything seems stacked against him.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. There are many players that would have considered doubling that red into the right centre because it would have been an opportunity to get position on the black, to bring difficult reds into play, but Mark does like to put players in a lot of difficulty with his safety plate, and he's very adept at that. This is what I was saying with Mark Selby. He's trying to hide the open red and force Stuart to bring the difficult ones into play.
Foul and a miss. Mark Selby 4.
Well, we now know what the players think because clearly there's no way he's going to hit the jaw there. Slowly rolled. Must have gone off a true course. Actually, Bingham turned to Selby and said, "Nice and true," quite sarcastically. So clearly the ball at slow pace on the way down must be rolling off to a certain degree.
Super pot from Mark Selby, and he's left himself a perfect angle on the black here to develop at least one of the awkward reds. Oh, he'd be delighted with that. My goodness, what's an outcome?
8. Nine.
Hindered by the double kiss in the end, although at least it's given him good position on the blue.
Well, I wonder here if
14.
Mark will consider screwing back off this red into the red that's near his hand and bringing that into play. Just avoided it.
15.
But has an angle on the blue maybe here to come off the top cushion and once again try and develop that really difficult red. does it just drop into the centre pocket?
20.
Well, if it does, this is the snooker equivalent of threading the eye of a needle. There's absolutely no margin for error. Shave that near jaw, the red will be repelled. Same thing with the far jaw. Have to try and squeeze it in.
Could do with trying to create a touch of pace though and get as straight as possible on the blue. Oh, he was able to.
21.
And now he can just drop the blue and he'll be on the yellow, and all of a sudden, well, I think we have a new favourite for this deciding frame.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Now the overhead view gives us a better view. It looked so simple the way he played it, but that needed to be so accurate, as does this, cue ball wise. Definitely a new favourite now, Dom.
Yes, absolutely. But
26.
Mark ideally could do with playing this yellow at pace and trying to force the cue ball across to leave himself as straight as possible on the green. He's just a little straight here. May have to leave more angle on the green than he'd like to, and also a bit further away from it than he'd like to. But if he powers the yellow in, he could get much closer to the green if he wants to take the risk.
$28.
Well, Mark's difficulty here, maybe just holding the cue ball nicely for the brown. And he couldn't do it.
31.
This is tricky now.
Long one or the ordinary?
While the rest is being assembled and Selby takes a look around, I can tell you Zhao Xintong now leads Zhao Guodong 2-1 thanks to an 83 break in the third frame.
Cheers.
What a fighter. What a master
55.
of brinkmanship. Just trusted himself, didn't play it with any great pace. And now only blue and pink required.
$40. $46, frame and a
You know,